No one had ever imagined the sky could break. Then it did. At precisely 3:17 Universal Time Coordinated, the first blip appeared on Earth's deep space radar stations. Initially dismissed as glitches, the anomalies multiplied. Flashes of light, faint gravitational distortions, signals beyond any known alien technology. Scientists were the first to panic. Then the military. Then the entire planet. Within minutes, over 12,000 warships appeared at the edge of Earth's orbit, a black swarm blotting out the stars. Their designs were alien, terrifyingly advanced, impossible to categorize. Sharp, angular vessels moved in patterns no human fleet had ever seen, synchronized, precise, and merciless. The sky became a living nightmare. Satellite feeds went dark. Cities across the globe reported electromagnetic surges. Planes fell from the sky. Trains derailed. Power grids collapsed. Humanity realized the nightmare was not distant. It had arrived. The galaxy had declared war. People ran blindly in the streets. Governments issued emergency alerts, but communications failed almost immediately. The world was cut off, thrown back into a primordial state of chaos. Panic became universal. For the first time in recorded history, humans faced a threat beyond comprehension. Entire cities lit up in flames as alien strike pods descended without warning. Military analysts attempted to coordinate a defense. Aircraft scrambled into the atmosphere, but they were insignificant compared to the scale of the invasion. Conventional weapons were useless against shields and energy cannons far beyond human capability. Missile launches were obliterated mid-flight. Entire fleets stationed in orbit were vaporized before they could fire. Despite the catastrophic losses, humanity adapted. Command centers shifted underground. The remaining satellites were moved into shielded orbits. Global defense grids activated automated turrets and railgun batteries. Human fleets, though small compared to the alien armada, formed a desperate perimeter, hoping to slow the onslaught. The first orbital battles were horrifying. Alien ships unleashed beams of energy that sliced through the atmosphere. Cities like New York, Tokyo, and London became nothing more than smoldering craters in minutes. From space, the Earth looked like a dying ember. Communication with most civilian centers was impossible. Entire populations vanished in flashes of fire and light. Even as chaos engulfed the planet, human resilience became evident. Fleets commanded by Admiral Rhea Kincaid coordinated counterattacks. Not for victory. They knew the war was already overwhelming, but for survival. Human ships executed guerrilla tactics in orbit, using the planet's magnetic field to generate defensive shields and maneuver at speeds the aliens did not anticipate. From deep underground bunkers, scientists and engineers worked frantically. They adapted alien weapons debris recovered from the early skirmishes, trying to understand and reverse engineer the technology. Civilians assisted however they could, hacking into destroyed drones, rerouting power for temporary defense systems, and maintaining communication with as many isolated survivors as possible. Meanwhile, on the ground, chaos was total. Streets were filled with overturned cars and debris. Fires spread uncontrollably, smoke choking the skies. Humans fought not only aliens but also collapsing infrastructure, desperate for food, water, and shelter. Yet even in despair, courage persisted. Citizens formed militias, defended their neighborhoods, and helped evacuate children and the elderly into subterranean complexes. Amid this devastation, small victories sparked hope. An isolated fleet successfully destroyed a massive alien strike pod using experimental railguns. Underground bunkers developed EMP pulses capable of disabling alien drones temporarily. Every small success was celebrated, but it was also a stark reminder of how insignificant the human forces were against 12,000 warships. Humanity's leaders understood that conventional battle would not win this war. The goal had shifted to survival, intelligence gathering, and buying time. Each encounter with the alien armada became a learning opportunity. Humans recorded every alien maneuver, noting shield patterns, attack sequences, and formation behaviors. The first signs of a counter-strategy began to form. Despite the overwhelming odds, humanity refused to surrender. Across every city and bunker, a unified thought emerged. They might lose everything, but they would not go quietly. Families protected children with improvised shelters, militias coordinated evacuation corridors, and underground communication networks ensure knowledge of alien weaknesses spread wherever possible. At the same time, the aliens escalated their attacks. Entire continents faced orbital bombardment. The oceans churned with destructive energy fields. Mountains collapsed under the pressure of planetary strikes. Humanity's technological and tactical ingenuity slowed them only slightly. The Earth itself became a battlefield, and survival meant adapting faster than ever before. Amid the terror, some humans observed an odd pattern. The aliens did not seem interested in complete eradication at first. They were precise, surgical, targeting key population centers and military facilities. Analysts speculated that this might be reconnaissance or psychological warfare, destroying hope faster than lives. Global cooperation, once a dream, became a necessity. Nations with centuries of conflict formed emergency coalitions. Even rival militaries shared intelligence, weapons, and fleets. Underground command centers coordinated the planet-wide response, marking a new era of human unity forged in the fires of near extinction. By the end of the first week, millions were dead, and the surface of the planet was unrecognizable. Cities were rubble, skies blackened with smoke, oceans boiling in unnatural currents. Yet humanity persisted. From scattered bunkers and orbital platforms, they launched coordinated strikes, disrupting alien logistics and salvaging crucial technology. Survivors became legends overnight. Small groups of civilians, scientists, and soldiers executed daring missions to gather intelligence, disable alien weapons, or rescue trapped survivors. Stories of bravery spread through underground networks, inspiring others to fight despite the despair. Humanity had faced annihilation, but the human spirit refused to break. By the end of the first month, the situation was catastrophic, but defined by resilience. The world was battered, thousands of cities destroyed, billions lost, yet humanity's capacity for adaptation had revealed a glimmer of hope. Small pockets of survivors had formed self-sufficient communities, and human fleets, though shattered, had begun to learn alien patterns and weaknesses. The sky had exploded, and the earth bled. Yet the message was clear: humanity was far from defeated. Though only a fraction of the population remained, the human race had survived the first onslaught of 12,000 alien warships. They had faced annihilation and endured, and now, the war for survival had only just begun. The battle had changed humanity forever. Fear had been replaced by determination. Desperation had become strategy. The Earth's defenders had learned a lesson that no alien fleet could teach. Humanity fights not just for victory, but to survive at all costs. And from the rubble, from the smoke and fire, one undeniable truth emerged. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and it would pay for that mistake. The first week had shattered Earth, yet humanity still breathed. From the ashes of cities and scorched forests, a plan began to take shape. The alien armada was vast, over 12,000 warships dominating the skies. Conventional forces were meaningless against their shields, weapons, and numbers. But humans had something aliens had never accounted for: ingenuity born of desperation. Deep within the underground command centers of New Geneva, Admiral Rhea Kincaid studied alien movements. Every attack, every pattern, every strike had been recorded. She and her team spent sleepless nights mapping trajectories, analyzing energy signatures, and searching for the tiniest flaw. "They never adapt too quickly," she whispered to her chief engineer, "but they punish hesitation without mercy. Timing is everything." In orbit, scattered human fleets began their first real counterattack. Using stealth technology and gravity-assisted maneuvers, small squadrons slipped past alien patrols. Railguns and missile pods, modified from old defense programs, struck at alien resource convoys. Not enough to destroy the fleet, but enough to slow it down, enough to buy time for civilians on Earth. On the planet's surface, engineers worked frantically. Cities had collapsed, yet humanity refused to surrender. Underground bunkers were fortified. Makeshift factories churned out weapons, drones, and automated defenses. Civilians, soldiers, and scientists united under one goal: survive the impossible. Meanwhile, alien forces escalated their attacks. Strike pods fell in hundreds, energy beams igniting the remains of human cities. Their movement was precise, calculated. But for every human settlement they destroyed, the survivors learned. Observation drones were hacked, energy pulse generators jammed alien sensors, and underground command centers devised rapid evacuation protocols. Then came the first major orbital battle. Human fleets, now coordinated across multiple sectors, executed what would later be known as the Phoenix Maneuver. Using the planet's own magnetic field as a shield and slingshot trajectory, squadrons struck at supply carriers while avoiding the bulk of the alien fleet. Ships exploded in violent bursts, alien armor cracking under relentless railgun fire. It was not victory, not yet, but humanity had shown defiance, and that defiance spread like wildfire. On Earth, survival became an art of improvisation. Cities were gone, but tunnels, bunkers, and forests became battlefields of cunning resistance. Guerrilla squads sabotaged alien machinery. Civilians acted as spies. Children memorized escape routes. Families learned to move silently, communicate in whispers, and vanish in seconds. Every small survival counted. As days turned into weeks, human adaptation accelerated. Engineers reverse-engineered alien drones to understand weaknesses. Soldiers learned alien formations and attack rhythms. Scientists experimented with gravity wells to divert strikes. Humanity was fighting smarter, faster, better than anyone could have anticipated. In one daring operation, a squadron of human fighters infiltrated a massive alien carrier, using a cloaked asteroid as cover. Inside, they discovered alien command interfaces which, when studied, revealed the Armada's communication vulnerabilities. Explosions erupted within the carrier as the team executed a sabotage strike, destroying key energy cores. This single act caused delays in alien attacks across multiple continents, saving thousands of human lives. News of survival victories spread across underground networks. Morale, previously at its lowest, began to rise. Stories of human ingenuity and courage inspired even the most terrified civilians. In hiding, millions whispered tales of bravery, planting seeds of hope where despair had ruled. Despite these gains, the alien fleet adapted. Their attacks became faster, more precise. Shielded bombardments carved deep trenches into the earth. Entire military complexes vanished. Humans who had survived for days were obliterated in moments. Yet the survivors learned from each failure, adjusting tactics, innovating under fire. Humanity began to see patterns. The alien warships were organized hierarchically, with smaller strike units feeding information upward to central command nodes. Destroy a node, and nearby units would hesitate, creating brief but crucial windows for counterattacks. Using this knowledge, humans executed hit-and-run strikes, crippling supply chains, slowing alien deployment, and safeguarding pockets of population. The skies were dark with alien vessels, the surface scorched and burning. Yet humans refused to surrender. Underground bunkers became centers of tactical genius. Communications relays, previously thought destroyed, were rebuilt with improvised technology. Scientists developed localized EMP devices to disable incoming drones temporarily. Humans adapted every aspect of the environment to turn the tide, proving that survival was as much about intellect as firepower. At the heart of the conflict, Admiral Kincaid realized a hard truth. The war could not be won by force alone. Humanity's strength lay in resilience, creativity, and moral choice. Every decision carried weight. Every life saved reinforced the hope that humans were not merely victims. They were a species that could endure against impossible odds. By the end of the second month, the alien fleet had learned to respect humanity, not out of admiration, but frustration. Human forces were small, dispersed, and yet unpredictably deadly. Entire squadrons of alien ships had been destroyed, not by numbers, but by strategic cunning and psychological warfare. Humans exploited every weakness, turning desperation into tactical brilliance. Even as destruction continued across the planet, survivors formed autonomous communities, maintaining vital food, water, and medical supplies. Communication between bunkers allowed coordination of attacks, evacuation of civilians, and distribution of intelligence gathered from alien technology. Humanity was becoming more than survivors. They were resistance incarnate. By the third month, the alien armada had altered its approach. Attacks were slower, more deliberate. Humans had forced the invaders to adjust tactics for the first time. A silent acknowledgement passed through the galaxy. Humanity was not a species to underestimate. The Phoenix maneuver had been replicated, perfected across multiple sectors. Drones were hijacked, alien supply lines intercepted, and human ingenuity turned the tide in unexpected ways. Not victory, but momentum. Humanity was no longer simply fighting to survive. They were fighting to define their place in the galaxy. Amid the carnage, the human spirit burned brighter than ever. Despite billions lost, cities destroyed, and hope nearly extinguished, the survivors of Earth had demonstrated a singular truth. When cornered, humanity did not break. It evolved. It adapted. It struck back with precision, courage, and unrelenting will. And as night fell across a scarred Earth, the alien fleet paused, not out of mercy, but respect. Humanity had survived the initial horrors and had begun to turn defense into counterattack, marking the first true step in a war that would decide the fate of the planet, and perhaps the galaxy itself. The skies burned like molten metal. For weeks, humanity had survived against impossible odds. They had learned, adapted, and struck back. Yet the alien armada was relentless. They had underestimated humanity once. Now, they would pay the price, or so they thought. Deep in orbit above the Pacific expanse, the Admiral's flagship, the Dauntless, cut through the darkness. Its hull bore scars from earlier skirmishes, yet it moved with precision, carrying the last organized human fleet. Commanders huddled over holographic star charts, mapping alien supply lines, strike pods, and orbital bombardment zones. Admiral Rhea Kincaid's eyes burned with intensity. They think this is a hunt. But tonight, we make them the hunted, she said, voice low but resolute. Human engineers had modified orbital railguns to fire at extreme velocities, small drones equipped with EMP pulses and graviton disruptors to destabilize alien shields. Every weapon, every tactic had been honed in desperation, tested against alien strikes, and refined in the last month of chaos. The plan was audacious. A multi-vector counterattack, striking simultaneously at the fleet's forward command nodes and the alien supply chain. If successful, it would create confusion, fractures, and give Earth a chance to stabilize. From below, humanity's scattered forces coordinated. Underground bunkers became relay stations, routing encrypted commands to fighter squadrons, ground units, and orbital defense arrays. Cities that still had surviving populations prepared traps and ambushes. Civilians, soldiers, and scientists became a single organism of resistance. At 2:13 Universal Time, coordinated, the first wave struck. Hundreds of human fighters launched from concealed orbital stations, using the planet's magnetic fields as natural cover. EMP drones raced ahead, disabling alien sensors. Railguns fired in synchronized volleys, tearing through alien supply ships. Explosions illuminated the planet's surface as shockwaves rippled into the atmosphere. Alien response was immediate. Warships shifted formations with impossible speed, energy beams carving paths through space. Yet humans had anticipated their moves. Fighter squadrons dove into gravitational pockets, slipping past defenses to strike at key nodes. In a matter of hours, several alien command hubs were crippled, throwing the fleet into chaotic disarray. On Earth, ground resistance mirrored orbital strikes. Guerrilla squads, trained in rapid urban combat, ambushed alien pods in ruins of major cities. Mines, improvised energy disruptors, and hacked drones became lethal tools against invaders. In Tokyo, a squad of young civilians rerouted a drone swarm into the remnants of a collapsing skyscraper, destroying dozens of attack drones in a single stroke. Meanwhile, survivors in Europe executed coordinated sabotage missions. Subterranean rail tunnels became traps for alien strike pods. EMP pulses disabled entire wings of alien drones, while human squads emerged to destroy their cores. Communication was maintained via secure, improvised channels, enabling simultaneous operations across continents. Amid these victories, the alien armada adapted. Shields became stronger, attack patterns less predictable. Warships now coordinated in tighter formations, responding to human tactics with increasing sophistication. Yet, even as humans suffered heavy losses, their ingenuity remained unmatched. They continued to exploit weaknesses, turning desperation into calculated strategy. In orbit above the Atlantic, a human strike team executed the most daring operation yet. Using a cloaked asteroid as cover, they infiltrated a massive alien warship. Inside, engineers placed gravity destabilizers and energy core disruptors, triggering a chain reaction that destroyed the vessel from within. Debris rained into the ocean below, sending shockwaves across alien formations. This single victory inspired the remaining human forces. Across Earth and orbit, squads pushed forward, learning from each engagement, modifying tactics in real time. Every battle became a lesson, every loss a catalyst for innovation. Yet the cost was staggering. Cities were gone, oceans boiling in places of orbital bombardment, forests turned to ash. Survivors were counted in the thousands, scattered across bunkers, forests, and underground complexes. Families were torn apart, millions of lives lost in a matter of weeks. Humanity had survived, but it had been scarred beyond recognition. Still, hope persisted. Stories of bravery spread quickly. Young soldiers held their ground against overwhelming alien squads. Engineers risked their lives repairing critical defenses while under fire. Civilians hid children and elderly in tunnels, then fought when necessary. Humanity had become a species of resilience, combining strategy, courage, and sacrifice in a way the aliens had never anticipated. The alien fleet, frustrated by repeated failures, began to shift its strategy. Instead of direct assaults, they tested human defenses with feints, probing for weaknesses. Entire sectors of Earth became war zones of tension, chaos, and uncertainty. The psychological toll on human survivors was immense. Fear and exhaustion threatened to break them. But leadership, coordination, and shared purpose kept them moving forward. In the skies above North America, the Phoenix maneuver was executed again. Squadrons split into multiple vectors, striking alien warships from unexpected angles. EMP pulses crippled shields, while railguns and gravity disruptors tore through armored hulls. The alien fleet suffered catastrophic losses, confirming one truth. Humanity was no longer simply defending. It was striking back with calculated precision. On the ground, humans learned to combine guerrilla tactics with alien technology. Captured drones were repurposed to scout, mislead, or disable enemy units. Cities became labyrinths of human ingenuity, traps for invaders. Every failed attack by aliens became a teaching moment, strengthening human resistance further. Admiral Kincaid, observing the battlefield from her flagship, understood a deeper truth. Humanity's survival was not just about firepower. It was about adaptability, intelligence, and unity. While aliens had numbers, humans had creativity, moral determination, and the willingness to risk everything for each other. That difference would define the war. By the end of the month, humanity had accomplished something remarkable. Alien supply lines were fractured, command nodes disrupted, orbital dominance challenged. Losses remained heavy. Billions of humans were gone, cities reduced to ash, but a seed of hope had been planted. Humanity had proven it could strike, adapt, and survive against overwhelming forces. And as the human fleet regrouped, repairing damage and planning the next wave of strikes, one fact became clear. The war was far from over, but Earth's defenders were no longer merely prey. They were hunters. The galaxy had expected humanity to crumble under the first assault. Instead, they had risen, fought back, and transformed desperation into lethal strategy. The hunters had become the hunted, and the universe would soon learn that humanity, though battered and outnumbered, would never be underestimated again. The sky burned red as if the sun itself had been shattered. After months of relentless attacks, the alien armada had adapted. Their warships moved with terrifying precision, striking not only cities but also the hidden networks of human resistance. Underground bunkers, forests, and mountain hideouts, all were hunted with unyielding force. Humanity's survival depended on innovation, courage, and unbreakable resolve. Admiral Rhea Kincaid watched the holographic star charts aboard the Dauntless. "They are learning," she said quietly. "Every strike we execute, they adapt. We have to evolve faster than they can anticipate." Her words were met with silence. Commanders and engineers alike understood the stakes. One mistake would mean extinction. The alien fleet had learned to anticipate the Phoenix maneuver, the guerrilla tactics that had allowed humanity to survive previous assaults. Every counterattack was now met with brutal efficiency. Across the globe, human strongholds braced for impact. Cities like remnants of Tokyo, London, and New Geneva had become fortified ruins. Underground bunkers connected by miles of secret tunnels allowed civilians and soldiers to move undetected. Automated defenses, powered by improvised energy cores, created lethal zones for alien ground troops. In the forests of North America, small squads ambushed alien strike pods, using camouflage, traps, and rerouted drones. Even children played a role, memorizing escape routes and relaying messages between units. Humanity had turned desperation into a coordinated, intelligent resistance. Orbital battles escalated. Alien command ships coordinated with devastating efficiency, deploying thousands of drones simultaneously. Beams of destructive energy sliced through orbiting human stations. Entire fleets were vaporized within moments. Yet humans continued to fight. Engineers worked around the clock to adapt alien technology. Salvage drones were reprogrammed to act as decoys. EMP pulses disrupted alien shields temporarily, and railguns fired in unpredictable patterns to maximize impact. Every small victory counted, not to win the war, but to survive another day. On the ground, civilians became warriors. Urban environments turned into labyrinthine battlefields. Explosions echoed through tunnels, smoke-filled streets, and small teams of humans engaged alien troops in close combat. Every confrontation was a test of courage, ingenuity, and survival instinct. The alien fleet, sensing humanity's resilience, escalated their strategy. They targeted food supplies, power grids, and communication hubs. Their strikes were surgical, aimed at breaking morale as much as infrastructure. Yet humanity persisted. Every loss was cataloged, analyzed, and turned into knowledge. Humans learned from death, ensuring that the next strike would be met with preparation and cunning. Amid this chaos, the first true human counteroffensive took shape. Using captured alien data, Admiral Kincaid and her team identified key command nodes. Disrupting these nodes would create temporary confusion in the alien fleet, giving humans precious time to execute coordinated strikes across multiple fronts. The operation was risky. Hundreds of human fighters launched simultaneously from concealed orbital stations, navigating past advanced alien detection systems. Railguns, graviton disruptors, and EMP drones struck with precise timing. Alien command nodes were crippled, and entire sectors of the Armada faltered. On Earth, guerrilla squads mirrored orbital tactics. Drones were hacked to relay false signals. Mines were placed in strategic choke points, and improvised energy disruptors created lethal traps. The alien invasion, previously unstoppable, now faced a species that refused to be crushed. Yet the cost was staggering. Entire cities were reduced to ash. Millions of civilians perished. Forests burned, rivers boiled under orbital bombardment, and mountains trembled from alien strikes. Humanity survived, but it was a battered, scarred species. In Europe, survivors fortified remaining strongholds. Subterranean bunkers, once temporary shelters, became permanent cities. Engineers developed renewable energy cores, water purification systems, and automated defense mechanisms to sustain life. Civilians trained in combat, medicine, and engineering, becoming a new breed of survivor. The alien fleet adapted. They began testing psychological warfare, using holographic projections to confuse humans, simulating attacks in one region while striking another. Fear spread rapidly, but humanity had learned to adapt, not only physically but mentally. Leaders focused on morale, communication, and education, ensuring that panic did not destroy the fragile human network. In South America, a squadron of human pilots executed a daring strike against an alien transport hub. Using a combination of cloaked maneuvers and gravitational slingshots, they destroyed the hub, sending shockwaves through the alien fleet. It was a victory that would inspire generations, proving that even a fragmented human species could challenge an entire galactic armada. Meanwhile, on the technological front, human scientists discovered that the alien ships relied heavily on quantum-linked communication nodes. By targeting these nodes, humans could temporarily disable clusters of ships, creating windows of opportunity for counterattacks. It was risky, unpredictable, and the only chance for survival. Admiral Kincaid oversaw the preparation for what would become known as the Gaia counterstrike. Hundreds of human fleets, combined with guerrilla squads on Earth, coordinated attacks across multiple sectors. It was a dangerous gamble, relying on precision, timing, and the unwavering courage of a species that refused to die quietly. As the operation commenced, explosions lit the skies over Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Alien ships faltered, communications failed, and human ingenuity created chaos among their ranks. Small victories stacked together, each one prolonging survival, each one a testament to human adaptability. Despite the triumphs, humanity suffered heavy losses. Billions were dead. Cities were gone. Yet the survivors were hardened, wiser, and united. The war had transformed them into a species capable of outthinking and outmaneuvering a technologically superior enemy. By the end of the month, Earth's last bastions had not only survived, they had evolved. Humans had become masters of adaptation, strategy, and resilience. They had faced annihilation and turned it into opportunity, proving that even against impossible odds, humanity would fight, endure, and survive. Admiral Kincaid looked at the holographic projection of the battlefield. "They underestimated us," she said softly. "They will learn. Humanity does not yield. Humanity fights back, and we will survive no matter the cost." And in that moment, as alien ships regrouped and humans prepared for the next phase, one undeniable truth emerged. The galaxy had made a mistake by declaring war on Earth. Humanity, though battered and outnumbered, had proven that it could survive the unthinkable. And that survival came not just from firepower, but from ingenuity, courage, and an unbreakable will. The war had lasted months, but humanity was no longer running. It was hunting. The first shock of the invasion had passed. Over 12,000 alien warships had brought Earth to its knees, leveling cities, destroying entire populations, and turning oceans into boiling wastelands. Yet humans had survived, and survival had taught them one lesson. When pushed to the brink, humanity did not surrender. It fought back with a fury no alien could anticipate. Admiral Kincaid stood on the command deck of the Dauntless, observing the remnants of the alien fleet through the thick glass of the observation dome. We've adapted. We've learned their patterns, their weaknesses. Tonight, we strike, and the galaxy will see that Earth is not prey, she declared, her voice calm but lethal. Human engineers have been working tirelessly. They had reverse-engineered alien drones, creating hybrid weapons capable of bypassing shields and armor. Railguns, EMP pulses, and graviton disruptors had been perfected. Even civilians, trained in sabotage and guerrilla warfare, had become integral parts of Earth's resistance network. Humanity's army had evolved from scattered survivors into a coordinated global force. The first stage of the offensive began in orbit. Human squadrons, small but highly maneuverable, darted between alien warships, using gravitational fields of planets as cover. Railguns fired in precise volleys, tearing through supply lines. EMP drones disabled clusters of ships, creating chaos within alien formations. For the first time, the aliens hesitated. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, the remaining bastions struck simultaneously. Guerrilla squads ambushed alien strike pods, improvised traps disabled drones, and civilians guided evacuations through labyrinthine tunnels and forests. Every success was strategic, planned, and amplified across multiple sectors. In Europe, a squadron of human pilots executed what would later be called the Havoc maneuver. Cloaking themselves in asteroid debris, they infiltrated a massive alien carrier, releasing drones programmed to overload power cores. The resulting explosions created shockwaves that cascaded through the alien fleet, destroying smaller ships and crippling command nodes. Across the Pacific, ground units launched coordinated strikes on alien drop pods, using repurposed technology scavenged from previous battles. Mines, energy disruptors, and hack drones turned every street and ruin into a death trap for invaders. Every alien pod destroyed meant more time for human civilians to regroup, evacuate, and fight back. The alien fleet adapted. They began deploying faster, more shielded vessels. Strike pods moved in unpredictable patterns. Command nodes were hidden within the largest ships, making them difficult to target. But humans were relentless. Each failure taught them something new. Every battle became a lesson in tactics, strategy, and ingenuity. In the Middle East, underground complexes coordinated a massive ambush. Using tunnels, camouflage turrets, and EMP bursts, humans disabled a cluster of alien warships attempting to land reinforcements. When the alien ships faltered, human orbital forces fired precise railgun volleys, destroying them completely. The victory was small in scale, but monumental in impact. It proved that alien invincibility was a myth. On the technological front, human scientists discovered that alien drones relied on a quantum-linked communication system. By exploiting minor interference in the network, humans were able to jam signals and create temporary blind spots. This allowed orbital and ground units to strike with deadly precision, crippling alien supply lines and forcing retreat in several sectors. Even as humans struck back, they paid a heavy price. Cities lay in ruins, and billions of lives have been lost. Yet those who survived have become resilient, resourceful, and deadly. Civilian engineers, previously unarmed, were now experts in drone sabotage, weapons assembly, and tactical coordination. Soldiers trained in guerrilla combat became leaders across the globe. Humanity had evolved under pressure into a species capable of defeating forces far superior in number and technology. The turning point came when Admiral Kincaid coordinated a synchronized global offensive. Human fleets in orbit aligned with ground strikes, underground ambushes, and repurposed alien weapons. The alien armada, caught in simultaneous attacks across multiple sectors, faltered. Ships collided, supply lines ruptured, and command nodes exploded in cascading destruction. In South America, human pilots executed a daring assault on an alien repair station. Cloaked in asteroid debris and using gravitational slingshots for speed, they planted destabilizers in core energy nodes. Explosions tore through the alien shipyard, causing multiple vessels to explode mid-orbit. Survivors on Earth watched as alien reinforcements failed to materialize. Humanity had seized the initiative. The alien forces, realizing their strategy was failing, launched retaliatory strikes. Beams of destructive energy rained down across surviving cities. Orbital bombardments shook the planet, and alien pods descended en masse to crush remaining resistance. Yet humans adapted. Underground bunkers, forests, and fortified ruins became deadly mazes. Civilians and soldiers fought together, luring aliens into traps, ambushing them, and striking at critical points with precision. By the end of the month, humanity had achieved something extraordinary. The alien fleet was no longer an unstoppable wave. It was fractured, disoriented, and vulnerable. Small clusters of warships were destroyed, command nodes crippled, and supply lines severed. The tide of war had shifted, and humanity was no longer merely surviving. They were controlling the battlefield. Amid the devastation, survivors looked to the sky with defiance. The first true message of hope since the invasion emerged. Humanity had learned to strike back effectively. Civilians trained in sabotage, engineers crafting deadly weapons, and soldiers executing precise maneuvers had collectively proven that no force could crush the human spirit so easily. Admiral Kincaid, observing the battlefield from the Dauntless, addressed her fleet. "We have faced annihilation. We have lost billions. But today, we have shown that humanity fights not for glory, but to survive. Tonight, we take back what is ours. We strike as one, and we do not stop until every invader knows the price of war with Earth." And so, the first coordinated global counteroffensive had begun. Explosions illuminated the planet. Shockwaves tore through alien formations, and humans struck with precision, intelligence, and unbreakable will. It was not yet victory, but for the first time, humanity had the upper hand, and the galaxy was beginning to take notice. The galaxy trembled, but Earth still stood. For months, humanity had endured a relentless assault. Over 12,000 alien warships had sought to annihilate the human race. Entire cities were reduced to rubble. Oceans boiled, forests were incinerated, and skies were choked with fire and ash. Yet the human spirit, battered but unbroken, had not yielded. Admiral Rhea Kincaid stood on the Dauntless, watching the alien fleet through the reinforced observation dome. Her eyes burned with determination. "This ends tonight," she said. "We've learned their weaknesses. We've adapted. And now we strike as one. Humanity will survive or die trying." Human engineers had worked tirelessly, integrating salvaged alien technology with human ingenuity. Railguns were modified for extreme precision. EMP drones disrupted entire squadrons. Graviton destabilizers could collapse shields of massive warships. Every innovation was born from desperation and honed through months of brutal combat. Humanity had turned survival into a weapon. The first wave of the final offensive began in orbit. Hundreds of human squadrons, coordinated across multiple sectors, moved with deadly synchronization. Cloaked in asteroid debris and magnetic distortions, they infiltrated alien formations. Railguns fired in volleys designed to cripple supply lines and command ships. EMP drones disabled shields, and graviton pulses tore through armor. The alien fleet, vast and deadly, faltered. On Earth's surface, guerrilla squads executed simultaneous attacks. Streets, tunnels, forests, and ruins became lethal traps. Hacked alien drones acted as scouts and ambush triggers. Mines and energy disruptors tore through advancing strike pods. Every small unit, every survivor, contributed to the planet-wide offensive. Humanity was no longer merely defending, it was dictating the battle. In Europe, a team of pilots executed the legendary Iron Talon strike. Using gravitational slingshots from nearby asteroids, they infiltrated an alien carrier hub. Inside, they placed destabilizers in energy cores, triggering massive explosions that propagated through the fleet. The resulting chaos shattered alien formations across multiple sectors, turning fear into opportunity. Meanwhile, the alien armada scrambled. Their superior numbers and firepower had been the cornerstone of their dominance. But now, confusion spread. Command nodes were destroyed, communication disrupted, and supply lines fractured. Entire squadrons collided or were destroyed by their own automated systems. Humanity, small and scattered, had turned desperation into strategic advantage. On the ground, civilians became warriors. Engineers, previously unarmed, now led squads in sabotage, reconnaissance, and counterattacks. Children memorized escape routes and delivered messages between units. Every person, every survivor, had become an essential part of humanity's defense. The species had transformed, evolving under the pressure of near extinction into something more than human. It had become indomitable. In the Pacific, a coordinated strike targeted alien repair stations. Cloaked squadrons infiltrated orbital docks, planting destabilizers that triggered chain reactions in fuel depots and shipyards. Explosions lit up the dark waters below, and alien reinforcements failed to arrive on time. Humanity had seized the initiative, forcing the invaders onto the defensive. The alien fleet, desperate and disoriented, attempted to regroup. But humanity's ingenuity was relentless. Quantum communication nodes were jammed, creating temporary blind spots. Orbital maneuvers disrupted formation cohesion. Ground forces targeted critical nodes, preventing reinforcements. Every action, every strike compounded the alien chaos. In the Americas, underground bunkers coordinated with orbital forces to create a multi-level trap. Alien pods attempting to land were funneled into corridors of destruction, ambushed by guerrilla squads and disrupted by EMP grids. Explosions echoed across the landscape as energy pulses disabled incoming drones. Humanity had learned to fight with precision, cunning, and unity. Despite staggering losses, human morale soared. For the first time since the invasion began, survivors saw hope. The alien armada, once seemingly invincible, was vulnerable. Small victories multiplied, showing that no technology, no fleet, could crush the human will. Admiral Kincaid orchestrated a decisive maneuver, the Phoenix Reclamation. Human fleets converged on alien fleets' remaining command ships, exploiting weakened shields and disrupted communication. Railguns fired volleys designed to destabilize the largest vessels, while EMP drones disabled smaller units. Ground strikes complemented orbital attacks, creating a full-spectrum assault. The alien warships, vast and powerful, faltered under coordinated human tactics. Ships exploded in violent bursts, debris raining across orbit and ocean. Supply lines were severed. Command nodes destroyed. The once invincible armada now staggered, vulnerable to the relentless ingenuity of a species fighting for survival. On Earth, surviving populations watched the skies ignite with destruction. Cities that had endured months of bombardment now saw flashes of hope. Guerrilla squads returned with news of victories. Engineers repaired critical systems, and civilians helped distribute resources. Humanity had survived the darkest months, and now was striking with unprecedented strength. The aliens, realizing their defeat was imminent, launched one final offensive. Massive energy beams tore through cities, orbital bombardments rained destruction, and strike pods attempted desperate landings. Yet humans had learned to anticipate these attacks. Fortifications, traps, and countermeasures absorbed the worst of the onslaught. Orbital fleets intercepted key vessels. Ground squads ambushed incoming pods. Every effort was coordinated, precise, and deadly. By the end of the operation, billions of alien soldiers were destroyed or incapacitated. Human survivors, though few compared to pre-invasion populations, had proven that ingenuity, courage, and unbreakable will could overcome even the most advanced foe. The tide had shifted. Humanity was no longer prey. It was the predator. Amid the debris of shattered cities and exploding fleets, one truth emerged. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. The species that aliens had assumed would crumble had not only survived, but had turned the war to its favor. Through strategy, sacrifice, and indomitable spirit, humans had demonstrated a capability for survival and combat that no alien armada could ignore. Admiral Kincaid surveyed the battlefield one final time. "We are battered. We are broken. But we endure. The galaxy knows now that Earth is not prey. Humanity fights, and humanity survives. Always." The survivors, scattered across bunkers, forests, and orbital stations, celebrated not only survival, but triumph. The alien armada had been fractured, their dominance shattered, and the first true human victory had been achieved. Humanity had taken the fight to the stars and emerged, scarred but undefeated, ready for the next challenge. And in that moment, as the debris of alien ships floated across orbit and the fires of Earth smoldered, one undeniable fact became clear. Humanity had turned near extinction into legend. The war was far from over, but the galaxy would never again underestimate Earth. The smoke had not yet cleared, yet Earth's defenders stood tall. For months, humanity had endured a galactic storm. Over 12,000 alien warships had brought annihilation to their doorstep. Cities were rubble. Oceans burned. Forests smoldered. Yet here they were, the survivors. Scattered, battered, but unbroken. Humanity had faced the impossible and survived. Admiral Rhea Kincaid looked out from the Dauntless, orbiting above a scarred Earth. The planet was a shadow of its former self, yet the human spirit remained indomitable. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "We've survived their might. Now, we must rebuild our strength and strike again if they return." Across the globe, survivors gathered in underground bunkers, hidden forests, and fortified ruins. They were engineers, soldiers, civilians, and children, all united by one purpose: survival, adaptation, and preparation for the future. What had begun as scattered pockets of resistance had become a coordinated network of intelligence, defense, and offense. In Tokyo's ruins, a squad of engineers repaired salvaged drones and railgun batteries. Civilians trained in guerrilla tactics taught others, ensuring that knowledge and survival skills spread quickly. Communication lines, previously destroyed, were re-established through improvised networks of relays and signals. Humanity's scattered remnants had become a single organism of resilience. Orbital fleets, though reduced in number, had been rebuilt with salvaged alien technology. Small, fast, and lethal, these ships patrolled the skies, ready to intercept any alien remnants. Drones now acted as both scouts and automated defenses, providing humanity with an early warning system against potential attacks. The alien armada was not entirely gone. Small clusters of warships, crippled but operational, lurked at the edge of the solar system. They were silent, patient, observing. Humanity knew that while they had survived the first wave, the true war had not ended. Every survivor trained, rebuilt, and innovated to ensure they would be ready. On the ground, the survivors' networks grew more sophisticated. Cities became fortresses. Forests, mountains, and underground complexes served as training grounds for new militias. Education in combat, strategy, and technology became central to human survival. Every child learned the skills needed to navigate, survive, and fight in a world that had changed forever. In orbit, Admiral Kincaid coordinated drills and strategic planning. The Dauntless and its fleet tested new formations, weapons, and tactics. Simulated attacks prepared pilots for any eventuality. Humanity had learned that preparation, intelligence, and adaptability were now as lethal as any weapon. Across the globe, small victories built morale. Clusters of alien drones were intercepted and destroyed. Salvaged alien technology provided insight into their weaknesses. Every successful operation reminded the survivors that Earth had survived and would continue to survive. Yet the scars of war ran deep. Cities that had lasted millennia were destroyed. Millions of humans had perished. Survivors struggled with trauma, loss, and fear. Yet in adversity, humanity's true strength emerged. Communities banded together, sharing resources, defending each other, and teaching the next generation how to endure. The first celebrations were quiet, cautious. Humanity did not celebrate victory. They celebrated survival. Stories of heroism, sacrifice, and innovation spread through the underground networks. Tales of pilots who infiltrated alien carriers, engineers who rebuilt weapons under fire, and civilians who saved dozens of lives became legends. These stories were no longer just history. They were instructions for survival and resistance. Meanwhile, alien remnants began small incursions, probing Earth's defenses. They were cautious, wary, and hesitant. The human survivors responded with precision, using newly developed countermeasures and intelligence gathered during previous battles. Every attack was repelled, every movement tracked. Humanity had become the hunters now, and even remnants of the once invincible armada feared them. In Europe, the survivors established a central command network, linking orbital and ground forces. Bunkers served as intelligence hubs. Engineers repaired and enhanced weaponry. Militias coordinated patrols and ambushes. Humanity's fragmented forces had become a cohesive, unstoppable organism, ready to defend Earth against any future threats. Admiral Kincaid addressed her fleet for the first time in weeks. We've endured the unimaginable. We've survived what no species should. But we are not done. We rebuild, we innovate, and we remain vigilant. Humanity will never again be underestimated. The survivors trained relentlessly. Every operation, every training drill, and every simulation reinforced one truth. Earth was now defended by a species that would not bow, not even to the might of the galaxy. Yet even in triumph, tension remained. Alien scouts continued to lurk. Unknown fleets may regroup beyond the edges of the solar system. Humanity knew that survival was only the first step. Preparation, strategy, and vigilance were now the pillars of existence. In hidden underground laboratories, scientists worked on advanced weapon systems. Drones were upgraded with AI capable of anticipating alien maneuvers. Orbital fleets tested long-range strikes. Civilians trained in survival and combat. Every survivor became a soldier, engineer, or scout. Humanity had transformed completely. Adaptation had become evolution. Amid the ruins, bonds were formed. Communities rebuilt with purpose. Knowledge, technology, and courage were shared. Hope, fragile but unbroken, spread across the battered planet. Humanity's fight was far from over, but the survivors had laid the foundation for a new era, one where Earth was defended by a species that had stared death in the face and refused to fall. And as the last remnants of the alien armada retreated into the darkness, one undeniable truth emerged. Humanity had survived not by chance, but by courage, ingenuity, and relentless will. The galaxy had been warned. Earth's defenders would never again be easy prey. The war had scarred humanity, but it had also forged it. From fire and destruction, survivors rose, not just as humans, but as legends, a species that would endure, evolve, and one day reclaim the stars. The smoke cleared, but the fight was far from over. Humanity had survived the fire, united its survivors, and prepared for the next chapter in a war that would define the galaxy. The galaxy had underestimated Earth. For months, over 12,000 alien warships had rained destruction upon humanity, reducing cities to ash and oceans to boiling wastelands. Entire civilizations had been wiped out. Yet against impossible odds, humanity survived. And now, after relentless adaptation, cunning strategy, and unyielding courage, the survivors prepared for the final hour. Admiral Rhea Kincaid stood on the command deck of the Dauntless, the flagship of Earth's rebuilt fleet. The scars of countless battles etched her face, but her eyes blazed with determination. "This ends tonight," she said to her officers. "Not with surrender, not with mercy, but with humanity proving its place in the galaxy." Human fleets had grown stronger, faster, more lethal. Salvaged alien technology had been integrated with human ingenuity. Railguns, graviton disruptors, EMP drones, and advanced cloaking systems gave Earth's defenders an edge they had never had before. Humanity was no longer just surviving. They were prepared to strike decisively. The first wave of the final assault began with orbital strikes on the alien armada's remaining command ships. Hundreds of human squadrons darted through space, using gravitational slingshots and cloak maneuvers to avoid detection. Railguns fired in synchronized volleys, tearing through enemy shields. EMP drones disabled clusters of ships, creating chaos in their ranks. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, human resistance had consolidated into a coordinated global force. Guerrilla squads, engineers, and civilian militias executed simultaneous strikes against alien drop pods and remaining ground forces. Forests, mountains, and ruined cities became labyrinthine battlefields, each ambush meticulously planned. In the Pacific, a daring squadron executed the legendary final Eclipse maneuver. Using cloaked asteroid cover, they infiltrated an alien carrier hub. Inside, destabilizers were planted on energy cores. Explosions ripped through the shipyard, destroying multiple vessels and sending shockwaves across the alien fleet. It was a blow from which the invaders could not recover. The alien armada, now desperate, attempted one final coordinated strike. Massive energy beams tore through surviving cities, orbital bombardments rained fire, and strike pods descended en masse. Yet humanity, anticipating the assault, countered with precision. Orbital fleets intercepted incoming vessels. EMP pulses disabled pods. Ground forces ambushed alien units before they could land. Every strike was synchronized, calculated, and lethal. For the first time, humans had turned desperation into complete control of the battlefield. Alien formations, once organized and unstoppable, fractured under relentless attacks. Supply lines were severed, command nodes destroyed, and communication disrupted. Chaos spread through the armada, and victory became attainable. In Europe, human operatives infiltrated alien repair stations, sabotaging energy cores and communication hubs. Explosions lit up the continent, and alien squadrons were thrown into disarray. In North America, guerrilla teams ambushed reinforcements, turning streets, tunnels, and forests into death traps. Across the globe, humanity struck simultaneously, leaving no room for alien recovery. Amid the chaos, Admiral Kincaid issued the final orders, the Gaia Reclamation Strike. Orbital fleets converged on the remaining command ships. Railguns fired volleys designed to destabilize entire vessels. EMP drones disabled smaller ships, while graviton destabilizers tore through shields. Ground forces moved in tandem, targeting remaining pods and residual troops. Humanity struck as one. The alien armada, overwhelmed and disoriented, faltered. Ships collided or were destroyed by cascading failures. Entire sectors of the fleet collapsed. Survivors fled into the void of space, seeking safety, but Earth's orbital fleets cut off their escape routes. Humanity's relentless assault left no vessel untouched. On the ground, civilians and soldiers fought side by side. Engineers repaired weapons under fire. Militias defended key locations. Children and elders assisted in communications and logistics. Humanity had transformed completely. Every survivor was now a weapon, a strategist, and a defender of the species. By the end of the first day of the final offensive, billions of alien forces were neutralized or destroyed. Command nodes obliterated. Supply chains severed. The once invincible armada was now a fractured, defeated force. Humanity had overcome technological superiority with ingenuity, courage, and unbreakable will. As explosions illuminated the skies, Admiral Kincaid addressed her fleet. "We have faced annihilation. We have lost billions, and yet we endure. Today, humanity strikes as one. Today, we reclaim our home. And today, the galaxy learns that Earth will never bow. In orbital space, the last alien vessels attempted a desperate retreat. Human squadrons pursued relentlessly, intercepting and destroying every ship they could reach. EMP drones disabled shields, railgun volleys tore through armor, and graviton destabilizers ensured that no vessel escaped intact. The alien threat, once overwhelming, had been neutralized. On Earth, survivors emerged from bunkers, tunnels, and forests. They tended to the wounded, rebuilt communication networks, and restored vital infrastructure. Humanity had survived not only because of weapons, but because of unity, strategy, and indomitable spirit. The war had forged a new species, stronger, smarter, and unyielding. The final victory was not without cost. Entire cities had been annihilated. Millions of humans were lost. Oceans, forests, and landscapes bore the scars of war. Yet the survivors knew one truth. Humanity had faced annihilation and emerged victorious. Earth was no longer prey. It was defended by a species that had stared death in the face and refused to yield. Admiral Kincaid surveyed the battlefield one last time. "The galaxy has learned its lesson," she whispered. "Humanity survives. Humanity prevails. And humanity will rise from this fire, stronger than ever." The alien remnants, fractured and defeated, retreated to the void, carrying stories of Earth's unyielding defenders. Humanity had proven, beyond question, that numbers and technology alone could not crush the spirit of a species united in courage, ingenuity, and determination. As the fires of battle faded, Earth survivors looked to the stars. The war had left scars, but it had also forged a species capable of anything. Humanity had endured annihilation, struck back with precision, and emerged as legends. The galaxy would remember this day. The day over 12,000 alien warships had come to destroy Earth, and the day humanity had not only survived but triumphed. Earth was battered, but humanity had proven one undeniable truth. No force in the galaxy could ever again underestimate the human race. The war was over, for now, but humanity had learned the ultimate lesson. Survival, ingenuity, courage, and unity were more powerful than any weapon the stars could hold. And in that moment, as survivors rebuilt and gazed at the skies, one truth echoed across the planet and beyond. Humanity endures. Humanity fights. Humanity prevails. Always.